former first lieutenant during the war in Afghanistan, former combat advisor with Afghan security forces, co-founder of No One Left Behind, a veterans organization that offers services to former Afghan and Iraqi interpreters who resettle here in the United States. Mr. Zeller, it's almost ironic now to state the name of the organization you founded, given what we're watching go on, though I'm curious to hear your reaction of this consequential speech by the American president. Didn't run from it. He owned it. He owned his decision. He owned the fact that, as he put it, the buck stops with him.
I hope he gets to own their deaths too. I feel like I watched a different speech than the rest of you guys. I was appalled. There was such a profound, bold-faced lie in that speech. The idea that we planned for every contingency. I have been personally trying to tell this administration since it took office. I've been trying to tell our government for years that this was coming. We sent them plan after plan on how to evacuate these people. Nobody listened to us. They didn't plan for the evacuation of our Afghan wartime allies. They're trying to conduct it now at the 11th hour. The thing that they were most concerned about was the optics of a chaotic evacuation. Well, they got exactly what they were most concerned of by failing to do what was right when we could have done it. We had all the people and equipment in place to be able to save these people months ago, and we did nothing. I'm appalled that he thinks that we only need to take 2,000 people. There's 86,000 people who are currently left behind in Afghanistan alone. We've identified all of them for the government. I have no idea why he claims that people don't want to leave Afghanistan. I have a list of 14,000 names right now of people who want to get out of Afghanistan. And the idea that the Afghan military should be blamed for this, do you know how many casualties the Afghan military took in an average year? More than the United States did in 20. When you're not getting paid on a regular basis, when you're not getting fuel, when no one is supplying you with ammunition, and yet you're still showing up to the fight, how dare us for having to blame these people for not having the audacity to be able to survive a Taliban onslaught? No. What we need to be doing right now, and what I am appalled that the president didn't say, was we need to be talking about how we're going to get every single one of these people out. Because let's be abundantly clear. People like me looked these people in the eye and made them a promise. We promised them that in their time of need, we would take care of them. How do you ever expect anyone to ever trust us again if we don't do that now while we can? And I'm sick and tired of trying to defer to the Islamic Emirate of Afghanistan on what we're going to do. We're the United States of America. They're terrified of us. I have Afghans on the ground right now who are telling me they're going door to door in Kabul and they're making lists of people who used to work with us. They're telling them with smiles on their face, evil smiles, that they're going to be back from them once we leave. So we either take them now or these people are going to die. I've been trying to tell anyone who will listen. This is a never again moment in the making. This is an administration that seems to be a profound champion and defender of human rights. Well, sometimes human rights have to be defended at the barrel end of a gun. The Taliban are a modern version of the Nazis. And if this was Dresden, do you think if this was Dunkirk, do you think British yachting pilots, the British captains that were sailing their boats heroically into Dunkirk, do you think they were asking on the beaches if the people they were picking up were Brits or French, or do you think they were just trying to get people away from the Nazis? Every Afghan we leave behind is going to be left behind to a horrible existence. And if we don't take them now while we can, that is as much on us as it is on the Taliban, who will hang or behead them.
Matt, our friend Paul Rykov tweeted a couple hours ago that 6,000 troops are not adequate to do what you just described, which hopefully is still the mission of this administration. Tell me what the operation looks like if adequately staffed and funded.
I've been saying for a very long time we need to send the entirety of the 82nd Airborne back in. We're sending, it seems to be a small fraction of it thus far. We probably need to send the 2nd Marine Expeditionary Force. These are 2 units that we keep on 48-hour recall. We should be retaking every single airfield that we just gave up. Look, I know this sounds ridiculous and it's not politically feasible, but these are our people. We made these people a promise. The Taliban are now actively killing them. And if we don't take them, they're going to die. And that's the thing, is we have the means to do this. We have just simply lacked this entire time the courage and conviction to do the right thing. And I am not going to sit and listen to a president that I voted for. I was happy that this man took office. I'm now appalled at that speech. I'm not going to sit here and have him lie to the American people. We did not plan as a government for this contingency. The American people, the advocates who have been pleading with the government, did plan for it. You can go to our website, evacuateourallies.org. It's been up for months. We had a plan in writing. We tried to give it to them. I have receipts. I put those out on social media. No one got back to us. No. I'm not going to let them get away with this. We have to take these people. If we don't take these people now, they're going to die. I am sick and tired of this. I got an email today from a man named Masri Sharif. The extent of the email is this. He said, I want to write you and thank you for all the efforts that you've tried to do to get us out of here. We're going to die now, and that's okay. We're resigned to it. But I just want to let you know that I still love the American people. I'm still thankful for the service that I gave to the United States, and I want to thank you for a good 20 years and for caring about us, and hope that we somehow make it through this, but we probably won't. We're going to die. I'm sick and tired of receiving those messages. Those people are still alive. We can still go and get them. The Taliban are not going to wipe these people out so long as we have a beachhead. We should be holding that for as long as it takes to get every single one of them out. And if necessary, we should be doing it at the barrel end of a gun. If we don't, no one is ever going to trust us again. And people like me are going to come home in body bags. The only reason I'm sitting here talking to you today is because my Afghan interpreter saved my life in a battle 13 years ago. He'd be the first person to tell you that if he thought we weren't honorable people, he wouldn't have been standing next to me. He killed 2 people in a firefight who were about to kill me. If that's the type of support of the people that we're now abandoning, how is it that my service is any much more valuable than theirs? Because I won the birth lottery? These people went on to the next unit and the next mission time and time and time again. And how dare us to even contemplate leaving them behind to, again, what I consider to be a modern equivalent of the Nazi party. You know, Richard was talking about how life is going back to normal in Kabul. The one thing he wasn't talking about is there aren't women anymore. They don't have rights in the Islamic Emirate of Afghanistan. They don't have a future.
Matt, what is the response on the other end of the phone? Obviously, you make an extraordinarily devastating case for saving the people who saved you and all of your former colleagues. What is the response? What did they say to you?
They forgive us for abandoning them. And I can't forgive myself. And I'll never forgive my country for doing this. I know exactly what every Vietnam veteran has been warning me about now. I'm going to live with a moral injury for the rest of my life. Do you know how many members of my unit have called me in the last 24 hours talking to me about whether or not any of this was worth it and how they're struggling? You know the one thing that's going to save us from that moral injury? Saving these people while we still can. We can save as many of them as we can put our hands on. The Taliban are not going to stand in the way of us. They're terrified of us. They might not have been afraid of the Afghan government, but they're absolutely afraid of us. We should be using every asset we have to save these people. We're never going to get another opportunity again.
Jason Crow has been working on this issue for a long time. Have you been invited to meetings at the White House, or have you worked with other policymakers on this?
So thank God for Congress. You know, you want to talk about bipartisan solutions? On May 17th or May 18th, there were 30 members of the Senate, 15 Republicans, 15 Democrats, people like Patrick Leahy and Ron Johnson. I don't know of another issue that these 2 people agree on, but they all sent a letter to the president. Point number 7 on that letter, by the way, urges them to begin the immediate evacuation. This was in May of our Afghan wartime allies. Congressmen Crow, Moulton, Galeo, Kinzinger, Pete Meyer, you name it, they've all said the same thing in the House, that we needed to start evacuating these people around the same time. Congress has been great. We built this administration a bipartisan solution to get this done. This administration, however, has never responded to a single request that any of us have made to meet with them. You can go, I just put it on social media a couple hours ago. You can see as late as July, once they finally had stood up a task force, we were emailing that task force saying we have a list of everyone that they're now currently trying to identify. In the last 48 hours, they finally reached out to us. They said, give us everything you have. We've been trying to give it to them for months. We knew who all these people were. We knew where they were. We knew how to get in touch with them. We had verified all of their service. And by the way, Richard's right. Processing these visas is pointless. We have a biometrics database. we should be using it to verify their service. If they're in the database, it means that at some point they served with the United States. The Taliban is certainly using that database. They're using it as a hit list because they stole the database and the technology that one can use to access it. And so that airport in Kabul, the reason why all of those Afghans who are currently inside the airport won't leave is because the Taliban have a checkpoint outside at the front gate, and they're identifying anyone who comes out. And if you pop up in that database, you're disappeared. You're never seen again. So we should be doing everything we possibly can to get these people out. We have the means to do so. We tried to communicate this to this White House for months, and no one listened. No one responded to our emails, no one responded to our phone calls, our social media posts, the various white papers. You can Google my name. See how many op-eds I've written on this. I literally wrote on the 2nd of April, when collapse comes in Kabul, it'll happen faster than DC can respond. Given Afghanistan's unique position in the world, we are going to need to conduct the largest airlift since 1948 to save these people. We have been screaming this for months. No one listened.
Matt Zeller, you're going to stay with us. Let me bring Ben Rhodes back. Ben Rhodes, you were in the NSC. I can't imagine you wouldn't take Matt's call and try to get to the right place on this. What do you think is going on? Or do you know what's going on?
Well, yeah, and I want to add to those very powerful remarks and I mentioned this earlier, in addition to interpreters, I've been hearing a lot from, Afghans on the ground who received USAID funding, set up human rights organizations, tried to work for the Afghan government, that we, people who are not corrupt. Okay, and I hate painting a broad brush because there are a lot of people who put their neck on the line. And so I absolutely agree that we should be trying to get all those people out. Here's the problem, Nicole. I think sometimes when you're sitting in the White House, you hear them referring, for instance, to the SIV program. This is a complicated bureaucratic program that has limited numbers of people who can be processed at a time, that requires certain paperwork, as Richard said. And the reality is that when you're in a situation when you're leaving and there could be an imminent collapse, you have to kind of toss out the bureaucratic rule book. You have to get these people out. And it may be that you can't just airlift them all directly to the United States, but you could take them, you could make an agreement with another country, a Central Asian country, for instance, that's nearby. You could take them to U.S. military facilities. So I think what needed to happen, and what seems to be happening now, when you see the pace of the withdrawals pick up, is tossing out the kind of bureaucratic cap and tossing out the various paperwork and processes that need to be followed. We know who these people are. We have lists, we have contact info. The challenge now, of course, is getting to the airport. But I think the only way to scale up, this system was not built to evacuate 40, 50, 60, 70,000 people. It was built to do what the administration's been talking about. We've got 2,000 people out and their family. And that's about as fast as that bureaucratic system can move. So I think as someone who's been in government, and I think a lot of people who serve in government get frustrated by bureaucracy, sometimes you have to say, this is a totally extreme circumstance, a totally unique circumstance, and we have to just kind of bust through it. And again, I think they're doing it now. My hope is that they stay there and they get as many of these people out, so you don't have a circumstance where once we've gotten the Americans out and once we've gotten the people who've already passed through that SIV interpreter visa program out, who had their paperwork all in order, that's it. And no, we know where a lot of these people are. And they're people, all of us who've worked on these issues the last 20 years have been getting, email contacts, addresses. Here are the people that are already being visited by the Taliban, as just mentioned. Let's just get as many of these people out while we have that military presence on the ground. I think that's what we all have to be watching very carefully here in the coming days. And my hope and prayer is that is something that the administration is going to take very seriously.
Ben Rhodes, Director Brennan, thank you both. Matt, I want to single you out for an extra thank you. And I want to promise you that we'll stay on this. You come back every day that you're available. We'll keep asking these questions. We'll stay on this.
I'll be on every day you have me until they evacuate these people.
I'm good for my word. You come back every day at 4 o'clock. Brian, what an hour, what a moment for the country.